Alright, let's jump right in. In this explainer, we're going to really unpack the core ideas of faith as they're laid out in the Quran. We'll be looking at what the text itself says about God, what our purpose is, and how we're meant to find our way. This verse really sets the stage right from the beginning. It's saying, hey, hold on a second. True righteousness, it's not about the outward rituals, not about just facing east or west for prayer. It's about something much deeper, an internal conviction. This idea of bir, or true righteousness, is about where your heart is pointed, towards belief in God, in the last day, the angels, the book, and the prophets. It's a powerful shift in perspective. This is understanding holy systems, where we explore religions through texts and interpretations. Alright, so where would we even begin with all this? Well, according to the Quran, everything, and I mean everything, starts with understanding who God is. This isn't just one belief among many, it's the absolute cornerstone of the entire Islamic worldview. And the key word here, the central concept, is tawheed. This is a huge idea. It's the absolute, uncompromising oneness of God. We're not just talking about one in number. The idea is that God is one in his very essence, totally unique, indivisible, with no partners. Nothing is like him. You could say it's the bedrock, the foundation that everything else is built on. And this verse really drives home just how serious that principle is. Associating partners with God is called a grave injustice. But here's the interesting part. The perspective isn't that you're hurting God, who is described as being completely self-sufficient. No, the injustice is to yourself. It's seen as cutting yourself off from that direct, unfiltered connection to the one Creator. Okay, so if God is one, then what is he like? The Quran constantly comes back to two core attributes that really shape the relationship between the divine and humanity: his incredible mercy and his perfect justice. And what's so fascinating here is how these two ideas are held in this perfect, beautiful balance. On one side, you have this message of just boundless hope. Do not despair of the mercy of God. It's saying no matter what you've done, the door is always open. But on the other side, there's this absolute, unwavering justice. God does not do even an atom's weight of injustice. They're not contradictory. They're presented as two sides of the same coin, two facets of a single, perfect real. This is a really deep connection here. This verse says that God himself, the angels, and those endowed with knowledge all testify to his oneness while standing firmly for justice. So what does that mean? It means that real knowledge of God isn't just some abstract, intellectual thing. It has to lead to action. To truly bear witness to God is to stand up for justice in the world. They're totally intertwined. So, if that's the nature of God, then what about us? Where do we fit in? The Quran spends a lot of time talking about humanity's unique role in the grand scheme of things, our purpose, our choices, and the huge responsibility that we carry. And the picture the Quran paints of humanity is one of incredible honor, really. We're called God's Khalifa on earth, which means something like a steward, a trustee, or a vicegerent. That's a huge position of trust. We're told we've been given this inherent dignity, the freedom to make our own choices, and we're created with this innate pull towards God. And that brings us to this key concept called fitra. This is a really important idea. It's the belief that every single person is born with this pure, natural disposition, almost like a spiritual compass inside us that, by default, points towards God. So from this perspective, faith isn't about becoming something you're not. It's about uncovering and returning to the pure essence of who you already are. Okay, so you might be thinking, if we're born with this pure nature, why do we mess up? Well, the Quran lays out this dynamic between our own free will and the influence of temptation, personified by Satan. His job is to whisper, to suggest, to make bad things look appealing. But, and this is a big but, the text makes it super clear that he has zero power to actually force anyone to do anything. The final call, and all the responsibility that comes with it, is always on us. So messing up, it's actually seen as just part of being human. The whole framework in the Quran isn't about trying to be perfect and never making a mistake. Instead, it's about this ongoing cycle. We might fall, we might get tempted, we might forget, but the way back is always there. It's through sincere repentance, and that repentance is always met with the promise of God's forgiveness and mercy. It's a continuous loop of trying, failing, and returning, which of course leads to the next big question, right? If we have this free will and we're totally accountable, how are we supposed to figure out what the right path even is? I mean, how does God actually talk to us? The answer, according to the Quran, is through guidance that comes from the unseen. So the Quranic worldview kind of splits reality into two categories. You've got the world we can see and touch and measure, the physical world. And then you have the alam al-ghaib, which is the realm of the unseen. This is everything that's beyond our five senses: God, angels, what the future holds, all of that stuff. And the text is very firm that true, certain knowledge of this unseen realm belongs only to... So how do we get a glimpse into that unseen world? How do we bridge that gap? The Quranic answer is that God doesn't just leave us fumbling in the dark. He creates a specific channel, and that channel is revelation. This is divine knowledge sent from the unseen, given to human prophets who then deliver it to the rest of us as a roadmap. And it's presented as the exclusive, authorized way to get definitive answers about faith and how we should live. And this verse couldn't be clearer about that point. It basically says that knowledge of the unseen is God's private domain. He doesn't just share it with anyone. The only exception? A messenger that he has chosen, specifically for the purpose of guiding people. It's a very specific and very exclusive line of communication. Okay, so now we're going to see how all these different threads we've been talking about, God's oneness, His justice, His mercy, our own free will, how they all come together. It all points to an ultimate destination, a final conclusion, the final return. So why all this? Why this short life, with all its choices, and this divine guidance to help us through? What's the point of it all? The Quran's answer is pretty direct. This life is a test. And the results? Well, the results come in the afterlife. Belief in a last day, then, isn't just an add-on. It's an essential piece of the puzzle. The idea is that every single thing we do, every intention we have, is recorded. And on that day of judgment, every single soul is held accountable. This final judgment is described as the ultimate manifestation of God's perfect justice, but, and remember this, it's always tempered with His infinite mercy. This entire life, from this perspective, is a test of our moral responsibility, or taklif. And I want to share this really powerful narration. It's said that on the day of judgment, God will say things like, "O son of Adam, I was sick and you did not visit me," or "I was hungry and you did not feed me." Think about that. It directly connects our standing with God to how we treat other people, especially the most vulnerable. It's not just about our personal rituals, it's about our compassion and action. And that's the thought I want to leave you with. If you believe that every single action, big or small, has an ultimate consequence, not just here, but in an afterlife, how might that change your perspective? How would that shape your understanding of justice and your responsibility to other people right here and right now?